Our city's never going to reach our potential until everyone is safe.
Are you available? I don't have any units available.
She tried to kill my son. She tried to kill my son with a knife.
And I want to congratulate Chief Craig and the men and women of the Detroit Police Department for how far we have come.
I have 2 priority 1 runs. I don't have any cars to dispatch. Do we have any cars with vehicles yet?
It's a far cry from the days when 911 calls averaged 30 minutes.
We've been sitting here waiting on the cops since 4 o'clock this morning.
I'm not okay with being on hold when I call 911.
The DPD of old, yeah, we had times where priority 1 calls were 2, 3, 4 hours. The new DPD, that's no longer the case.
I have been waiting for over 2 hours and no one has came yet.
Detroit police say they're responding to the most urgent calls for help as fast as ever.
Today it sits at around 12 minutes, so I think that deserves an acknowledgement for these people.
But that's not the whole story, because the truth is the response time for thousands of 911 calls a year in Detroit, the ones you don't hear about, is nothing to applaud. Since October, we've analyzed hundreds of thousands of calls to 911, listened to hours of dispatch recordings, and dozens of calls for help. What we found, too often the 911 we're told doesn't exist anymore, still does. So in the very early hours of New Year's Day, Southfield Road and West Outer Drive, there were calls for shots fired in progress around 4 or 5 in the morning. We're gonna go check that out.
How you doing, sir? You got cameras? I got nervous.
There's the cameraman. You're not in trouble.
Okay, yeah.
How are you?
I'm all right.
We're doing a story about 911 delays, response to 911 calls. And there was a call from this number on January 1st
Yes.
about some shots fired.
Detroit 911 was the address of the emergency.
Shots was fired and the guy is still outside of my house. He's trying to argue a fight.
So did he just fire shots in the air or did he actually shoot at someone?
I don't know. He's still on our porch. He's looking through our window.
Somebody came up to this side door. We had no problems. We be in the house. We don't mess with nobody. But came, shot through the door.
Shot through this door. Oh God,
yes.
That's the bullet.
Yeah. And
okay.
And we called.
Detroit 911. What's the address of the emergency? Yes, I just made a complaint. Gunshot. Guys on our porch. I called 30 minutes ago. No one still showed up.
They pop up when they try, but it's been a long history of them showing up late.
Nice little neighborhood. See everybody go, what's up, man? Yeah. We look out for each other.
Detroit 911, what is the address of your emergency?
They're shooting outside and fighting, and the kids are shooting at the house.
I heard the gunshots. I was inside my house. By the time I came out, I didn't see nothing or hear nothing.
Do you know if anybody was injured?
I don't know. I'm upstairs with the kids.
Okay. How many shots did you hear?
I heard at least 3. I know at least 3.
Okay, I request police to the location.
It took about how long for cops to get here?
Probably about an hour and a half. He was gone. He was gone. Somebody could have been dead. Nobody would have knew nothing.
Detroit 911, what's the address of the emergency?
Yes, I'm on White Hill. There's some shooting going on out here. I see people running. I don't know what's going on.
How many shots did you hear?
Several. I'm not even trying to count them. I'm just telling you the people. I see people running. I just wish you would send somebody out here right away.
Detroit 911, what's the address of the emergency?
A couple people already have called. There's still gun shooting. A lot of shooting going on right here on the corner of Outer Drive and White Hill. Can you please send an officer or somebody out to check? I called like 20 minutes ago. How many more shots have you heard since the first time you called, sir? The first time I called, I've heard about 5 or 6 more. It's like they're going back and forth.
Okay, we have police requested over there.
We're trying to portray that we are better now in 2019 than we were 2 or 3 years ago. That is true, but the reality of it is that we are falling short in a lot of different areas. Perhaps we cannot respond to the volume of the calls. That's the reality. It's an alarming number of people requesting police service in the city of Detroit.
She had a black eye that punched her in the face. They took hours to get here.
We're at 8 Mile and Ryan, where an elderly woman was a victim of what was first a robbery and then became an assault. We know what block she's on. We don't know which house is hers. So if we're gonna find her, we're gonna have to knock on some doors. I'm working on a story about 911.
He would know better across the street because he knows everything.
He would know better across the street in the brick house or the green one? The green one. We're knocking on doors because we're trying to find somebody named Miss Gwen, if that's even correct.
Gwen.
Yeah, and that might not be the name.
Glenn.
Could be Glenn, might be Glenn or Gwen, I don't know.
Miss Glenn.
Oh, Glenn, is that it?
Probably so.
She called 911 in July.
Yeah, I called her.
You're the one who called? Okay.
Detroit 911, what is the address of the emergency?
It's the lady across the street, is Miss Glenn. I don't know her address. She come over and knocked on my door, and she said somebody broke into her house, and she was in a bed sleeping. She was in a state of shock. She said, Mr. Thomas. She said, somebody just broke in my house.
Somebody just broke in my house on me. Beat me up in the face, ma'am.
Okay. All right. The units will be there as soon as possible, okay?
Okay.
So my friend just told me somebody broke in her house and robbed her, hit her and stuff like that. She's an elderly lady, and they broke in and robbed her and stuff.
She had a black eye that punched her in the face.
This is so unacceptable. You know, I know a lot of crime going on in Detroit, but this is my grandmother. This is a, elderly lady. We call and saying somebody broke in and assaulted her. That should be something important, that somebody should be out here. We shouldn't have to wait 4 hours for a cop to come and take a report and to check and to do what they need to do.
DPD says priority 1 calls take on average 12 minutes to respond to, and that people are not waiting hours for 911 anymore.
That must be something new, because they took hours to get here. This happened about 4 o'clock in the morning. They didn't get here till almost noon.
So 7 Mile and Fleming, there was a call over the summer, a mentally ill young man who was being violent. His mom's calling, trying to get police to come out there and to get him picked up because he's threatening to hurt her and to hurt other people. We're doing a story about slow response times.
Say that again. Oh, the slow response.
Slow
for the
response
police.
time, exactly.
My sister right here, she'll talk to you because she just said they do move slow.
Okay.
And sometimes they don't come. Oh, we caught a lot. It was
August 26th, 10 calls that I counted.
Yeah, that was us.
Detroit 911 was the address of the emergency.
Okay, I had called you guys earlier concerning my son. He's been volatile, he's drunk, he was going to kill me and everything like that.
Please, I requested out to application, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Detroit 911, what's the address of your emergency?
I've been sitting here waiting for the police to come. No one has came yet.
Okay. Well, police have definitely been requested to the location.
Okay, because I just don't want him to hurt nobody. He's a big guy. He's 500 pounds.
Is he threatening or is he doing anything like that now?
Yes, he's very threatening. He just threatened to kill me, so yes, he's very threatening.
I'll update the ticket with that information.
Detroit 911 was the address of the emergency.
I'm following him now because I had called the police and they never came. And they told me to follow him.
They're waiting for a scout car to become available. They're backed up for priority runs right now.
Detroit 911, what's the address of the emergency?
I do not have an address, but I need some help immediately. I just had to run from the house, so that's why I don't have the address. I'm sitting on the corner of 7 Mile and Fleming. I have been calling you guys since last night. No one has never shown up.
And you say he has weapons?
He has a bat. He's been running up and down the street with a bat. I don't know what else he has because I had to get out the house.
I ran outside and dialed 911. I'm not okay with being on hold when I call 911.
Chief, would you just talk with me, just count to 10 so I can get a level on your voice?
Yep, testing 1, 2, 3.
When we sat down last year, you told me that
The DPD of old, yeah, we had times where priority 1 calls were 2, 3, 4 hours. The new DPD, that's no longer the case.
And you said those days are over. Those days aren't over.
Okay, okay. It was my feeling that those days were over.
Suicide in progress, 82 minutes. Shots fired, 204 minutes. Rape in progress, 75 minutes. I mean, there are pages of calls that took an hour or more just last year. It does still happen. Why did you say it doesn't?
Well, certainly there were calls within that population that exceeded that 13-minute. Some exceeded 40 minutes, some exceeded an hour.
Hundreds exceeded an hour.
I think that we have to also frame it for the community where we're not putting the community in the state of frenzy and pandemonium that the police department is not responsive to their needs.
With all due respect, sir, the people that are in frenzy and pandemonium are the people whose calls I just played for you.
Yeah, but there's also 600 other calls a day where we get it 100% right, and if we don't tell the whole story and we frame it in such a way where the 5 or 6 calls, which very, very seriously are important, we take every call seriously and important.
When do you miss him the most?
Whenever I hear one of his favorite songs, which is pretty much every day, several times a day. He was having a bad day, and he really wanted to go see his mom, is what he told me. All of a sudden, the front door flew open, and his mom's friend was at the front door screaming to come in the house. You need to call 911, come in the house. You know, call 911, come in the house. You know, he was slumped in the chair. First thought was he did something to his wrists. I was freaking out, and then I saw all the blood. It was just like all over the place. I ran outside and dialed 911, and then that's when that process started. And it was like I was calling the DTE because it said, please hold while the next available operator answers your call.
You have reached the City of Detroit 911 Emergency Center. All operators are handling emergency calls. Remain on the line.
So you hung up and kept dialing.
Yep.
And
I got the same recorded message. I don't remember how many times. It was more than 4. I can say that much.
I'm standing in the front yard and I start calling and calling and calling, and I get the same kind of thing.
so from the time you called the first time, how many minutes passed, would you say, before you actually reached a live body?
It felt like forever, but I really truly feel it was between 20 and 30 minutes.
That long?
Yeah. I'm not okay with being on hold when I call 911.
From the first call to the time they arrived, how much time went by?
45 minutes?
45 minutes to an
At
hour.
least like a minimum of 45 minutes. It was ridiculous. I just heard my mom scream. And it was loud, and like I remember it. Like I'll remember the sound of that scream in 10 years. Like, it was horrible. But if they would have gotten there sooner, they might have been able to help him.
Have you had to call 911 much while you lived here?
Well, just for health reasons. I was having complications. I couldn't breathe. I was lightheaded. When I dialed 911, I heard an automatic system. It was telling me, okay, hold on, your call is very important to us. We'll get with you as soon as possible. If I couldn't breathe or talk, imagine if I just passed out here. Now, who's gonna save me?
Came to my door at 5 o'clock in the morning. I opened the door. He barged his way in the house. He had a gun. He put me in a headlock. He wanted me to go to the ATM with him, draw out all my money. And he threatened to kill me and burn my house down if I didn't oblige. I called 911 and they put me on hold. I couldn't believe that. And there was another probably 5-10 minutes before they actually answered.
This was on Easter, like 2 years ago. She couldn't get up, like she was just like slumped over, like she was just like slumped over. I was screaming, I was like, Mom, like, is you okay, is you okay? And she wasn't responding back. And I called the EMS, I got the answering machine.
Remain on the line. Do not hang up. Your call will be handled by the next available operator.
This is ridiculous. Maybe my phone is just, tripping. I'm in panic mode.
Please be prepared to give the address of where help is needed and your name.
So you called not once,
not twice, but 3 times.
3 times. Mm-hmm. Every time you were put on hold.
Every time I was put on hold. She was having a seizure. They said that her blood pressure was too high. She went into a massive stroke, and she had ended up like brain dead the next day, and then she was gone.
We're taking the reporting seriously. We're looking at it very carefully.
I recognize we have a problem.
We found some problems in our process, okay? We made some corrections in our process. We improved our audit protocols. We're holding our people accountable.
You get so numb to the fact of it being like that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, dang, like we can't even depend on them at some points. We gotta watch out for ourselves.
What's the problem? Is there not enough employees? Is there not enough dispatch at 911? Are there not enough ambulance drivers or EMS?
We're taking the reporting seriously. We're looking at it very carefully, and I'm talking to the chief about how we address it. I don't think a 911 call should go to hold. Do we have enough call takers? What's the data on how often that actually happens? We're looking at all of that right now. We're very focused on it.
I recognize we have a problem, and they are attempting to address those issues. So it's encouraging that you continue to highlight it and bring it forth. It's encouraging that the department is attempting to seriously address these concerns.
Detroit 911, what is the address of your emergency?